Wow. I got them. Chazak. Okay, good morning. We are in Masechet Pesachim. We are in Amud Yomi of Dirshu. And where are we holding? Which daf are we holding? We're doing Achaf Bet, Amud Bet. Before we start, whoever was not here the last few days, just to give Akdama, Chaim, is that there is a machloket between Rabbi Abahu and Cheskia. Whenever the Torah says, Lo tochan, what does that mean? Does that mean you can only not eat the food, but you can't sell it or give it away to a goy, or benefit, light your oven with it, light your furnace with it? Lo tocham, that's what it sounds to be. That is the opinion of Cheskia. Cheskia says, if it says lo ye'achen, then it will be that not only you can't eat, but you also cannot benefit from it. That is the opinion of Cheskia. Lo yachen. Why didn't you just say lo tuchan? Why doesn't it say lo yachen? Lo tuchan is don't eat. Lo yachen means don't do anything that will cause you to eat, i.e. sell it, get money, get benefit, and then use the money for whatever you would like. That is the opinion of Cheskia. Rabbi Abahu says no. Anytime it says lo tuchan, lo yachel, lo yuchlu, all that is included in the prohibition also of hana'ah. Not only you can't eat, but you cannot benefit. So what we're going to do now is go through a lot of cases where you see it says lo tuchal, lo yuchlu, lo tuchlu, and still you're allowed to benefit. So we have to see why is that? How does Rabbi Abahu learn that out? So yesterday, for example, we spoke about gidan asher. Gidan asher, well, is it mutter? It's aser. Well, let's say according to Rabbi Abahu, according to one opinion, at least it's mutter because it's not really because it's nevela. What I didn't tell you just now is that the Torah did give heterim. For example, the nevela and the trefa, the Torah said, la kerev teshlechunotu, la ger titenena. You can give it to a ger, or machor lenochi. You can benefit from it. So certain things, even though the Torah says don't eat it, it singles it out. That was shitat Rabbi Abahu. Since the Torah singles out benefit for certain things, it must be that everything else is forbidden to benefit. If the Torah needs to tell you that the nevela you could sell to a goy, it must be everything else you can't sell to a goy. Now, the Gidan Hashem, for example, is included in the Nebena. It's meat. Therefore, it's mutar. Then we spoke about dam, blood. And we said that blood has a pasuk that says, Ala aretz tishbechenu kemayim. Blood, we know that you're allowed to have benefit. And how did they have benefit? In the Beit HaMikdash, they would actually, when you spritz all the blood, where's it going? It's not disappearing. There's little holes at the bottom of the Mizbeach, which are going to a little conduit, which is bringing to a stream, which is called the Nama. Nachal Kidron, it gets to, and then we actually sell it to farmers for fertilization. So you're allowed to benefit from blood. The Torah says, Lo tochlu, don't eat blood. Well, then we said there's a hekesh between blood and water. You can't eat blood. Ala aretz tishbechenu kemayim. Pour it on the ground like water. So since there's a hekesh in the pasuk between water and blood, it means that blood and water are similar. You can have benefit from blood, water. You can have benefit from blood, even though it's another exception to the rule. And we're going to go through a lot more like that. So that's what we're holding now on Chabet Amud Bet, top of the page. Actually on the 5th or 6th line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7th line, first word. Kemayim en mashir. V'arei ever minachai. You got the call? Okay. Ever minachai. Now we have what's called an ever minachai. What's ever minachai? There's a prohibition to eat a live animal. You're not allowed to leave a live animal or to cut off. You have it, Chaim? Chabet Amud Bet, 7th line. V'arei ever minachai. So you know that if you cut off the limb of an animal and you eat it live, it is an isur doraita. Persons who eat oysters is isur doraita. An oyster sounds disgusting. It's like a raw live fish. It's a live slimy fish over there. Ugh, who can eat that? And in China, what they do, those crazy people, you know what they do, right? You go to restaurants and they actually take a monkey. They have a hole in the table. They strap the head, they cut open the head live, and they eat the live monkey brains. You understand the sickness that exists? And of course, that is molid bad midot. So all the cruelty that comes to a person is because of these actions. Anyways, ever minachai is asur minat Torah. Ever minachai, lo tochan kon nefesh. How do we know that ever minachai is asur? It says lo tochan hanefesh im habasar. Don't eat the basar when the nefesh is still in it. Let's look at the full pasuk if you don't mind, because this pasuk actually has two things inside of it. Pasuk bet in Torah Or, rak chazak levite chol adam. Be strong. Don't eat blood. Ki adam wa nefesh, because blood has the nefesh in it. You know that there's 5 levels of the soul. The lowest base animal nefesh that you have, which is basically the animal part of the person, is inside the blood. Ki adam wa nefesh. It's actually very interesting. It's very spiritual blood. It's not very physical. It's like the most spiritual part. Most spiritual part of the body is the blood. It's much more than physical.
When a person dies, it's when the nefesh gets out of the blood.
Exactly. When the blood comes out, the nefesh leaves at that point.
Yeah.
Velo tuchana nefesh ima basar, and don't eat the nefesh with the basar, meaning don't eat the basar when it has the nefesh in it, ever minachai. So you have in this pasuk two things together. You have one, don't eat the blood, and don't eat ever minachai. So now we're back in the Gemara, and it says, V'tanya Rabbi Natan omer, minayin shelo yoshit adam kos yain nazir, ve'ever minachai libnei noach. How do you know that you cannot give wine to a nazir? A nazir is a person that took a vow not to eat wine. And a goy is not allowed to eat ever minachai. How do we know you're not allowed to? Tamun omar lifnei iver lo titen michshol. Do not give a stumbling block to a blind person. A person that's also to do something, you can't give it to him. You can't drink wine. You can't eat ever minachai. You can't be the waiter of an oyster restaurant. You're not allowed because you're giving him a michshol. So what do we see over here? Hadik klavim sharei. If you want to tell me we're medayek from this Mishnah, from this bright, that you can't give a ever minachai to a goy, but I could give a minachai to a dog. A dog has no prohibition. Well, I have to feed my dog food. By giving him the ever minachai, I'm going to save myself the dog feed. So I'm going to save money. So that's called hana'ah. So you see that it is permitted to have benefit from ever minachai. Answers the Gemara, shani ever minachai ditkash ledam. Actually different. It has a hekesh in the pasuk to blood. Dichtib rak chazak liviti echon hadam ki adam hu hanefesh. So you see that we just say, in the pasuk we just read, blood and ever minachai are in one pasuk. If we learned yesterday that blood is collected to water, so blood you can have benefit from, the same way you can, even though it says don't eat blood, so you might have thought you can have benefit according to Rabbi Abahu, but since it's connected to water in the pasuks, so water you can have benefit, blood you can have benefit, and now ever minachai is connected to blood, so it's a three-way chain. 1, 2, 3. So ever minachai you're also allowed to have benefit. Another exception to the rule.
Like water.
Like water. Yeah, but the Gemara says, Uri Cheskia, Nemayin Chata. Let's think about Cheskia. Cheskia said, anytime it says Lo Tochan, it's only prohibition of eating. Right? So by default, Cheskia says, you're allowed to have benefit. So why does there need to be a Hekesh of Ever Minachai to blood? We don't need that to teach the permission of Hana'ah. There's already a permission of Hana'ah. Do you get that, God?
No, where is it?
According to
Cheskia. First word of the Cheskia. Let's review what we said.
No, but why is it? Why do we don't need it for him?
Every limud in Torah is needed for something. There must be something it's coming to teach over here. So Cheskia told us, if we remember what I told you at the beginning of this year, that Cheskia holds that that anytime it's written lo tochan, the prohibition is only eating. Benefit is mutter.
And here it says achar.
So here, so ever minachai is mutter to benefit from. How do we know? Because there's a hekesh. That hekesh is only needed for Rabbi Abahu.
Yes.
But according to Cheskia, you don't need the Hekesh because it's self-understood that there's no reason to say forbidden. So there's an extra limud over here that must be used for something. So limayid chata. Why are you connecting blood to ever minachai? Limayid chata itkash ever minachai lidam. Amar licha. So Cheskia actually says no. Has nothing to do with ever minachai to blood. It's the blood that's connected to Ever Minachai, not the opposite. I want to teach you something about the blood, not about the Ever Minachai. My Ever Minachai asur, Avdam Minachai asur. Ever Minachai, you're not allowed to eat an animal when it's still alive. You're not allowed to cut off a leg and start eating the leg when the animal's still alive. Well, blood of the animal that's still alive, you're also not allowed to eat. Ve'ezu dam, there is dam hakaza. When a person, you know that there's 4 levels of blood. When a person gets a cut or something like that, let's say it's a big wound, the first blood that's coming out is just shotet, it's dripping, it's spun. And then there's a stream. That big stream, of blood that's coming out of a person, that's when the nefesh comes out. Then the blood turns black, and then it's shotet again at the end. The soul, the guy is already dead by then. The blood coming out, oozing out, streaming out, that's nefesh adam yotzet, nefesh yotzet bo. So that blood is asur min Torah to eat of a live animal. So let's say they shechted the animal, or they cut the animal, they give a stab to the animal, and the animal will die within 10 minutes. but now the blood's coming out. You might have thought it's not ever min achai. It's not an ever, it's blood. There's a hekesh, that is isur. That's why Cheskel needs it to teach you that halacha.
Yeah, but we already have the other pasuk, no? That says lo tochelu. Tishchetzu b'mayim, no?
Don't eat blood?
Tishpechenu b'mayim. Yeah, so it says over here lo tochelu.
Very nice. But how do we know that it's going to be a karet? Blood is a lo taseh. Ever min achai is a karet. Look at Rashi. Avda min achai asur. Look at the Rashi, please. Bisur ha'imor bo. See the Rashi on the left side? Avda min achai asur. Bisur ha'amur bo. Kiromar karet. Mishum dedam gamur.
It's the real blood, the oozing blood.
Yes,
right?
so that is going to be a karet. So it's coming. You're right, Gan. Good question. Blood is already forbidden. So it's coming to tell you that regular blood is a lo taseh. That blood is a karet. Like ever min achai is a karet.
Okay.
Good. The Gemara says, "V'arishor haniskar." The Chaman Amar lo yochal et besaro. So there's what's called shor haniskar. An animal after a certain point, let's say a bull. A bull attacks the first time. He's the first time he attacks, he's called a tam. You have to have a certain shmirah for your animals. You gotta guard them, put them in a fence. But there's a certain animal which is a tam. A tam, if he does damage, well, you should have been careful, but you cannot be fully liable because we didn't know it's a damaging bull. If an animal does damage the first time, he is chayav to pay chetzi nezek. Okay, so there is what's called in halacha a nezek, and we're going to see after what's a kofir. Nezek is the damage. You pay 50% of the damage when it gored a person, for example. How do you determine the damage of a person? It's actually pretty simple. In the time of the Gemara, there was what's called slaves. A slave is basically a long-term employee that's treated with extreme respect, and you pay upfront the amount of years of service. Okay? So this guy, I'm going to buy him a servant. How much is it going to cost me? It's going to cost me 100,000. So now, let's say the same guy that I would have bought for 100,000 because he's a diamond cutter, so he's worth a lot of money. If now he has no fingers, so he's worth 10,000 or 20,000 because now all he can be is like a scarecrow. I can put him in my pumpkin field, and when there's the weasels come to eat the pumpkins, he's going to yell and run at them. That he can do with no fingers. So you determine the damage of a person by the difference between his before worth and his after worth of damage. So a nezek of an animal that damaged the first time is only 50%. Once he damaged a few too many times, could be 4 times, so now we kill him. He's a dangerous animal. He's constantly damaging. He's a mu'ad. And the damage for the mu'ad that you have to pay is full nezek. So once he damaged once or 2 times, this is a mu'ad. I can't remember exactly how many it is, but this as 3 times.
3 times is a mu'ad.
He's a mu'ad. Now you should know that this is a dangerous animal. It's not a haphazard. It's not the guy instigating. This is a dangerous animal for full payment. Second, you have to pay, which it's not written over here. It's called a kofeh. Sometimes you got to pay another payment, which is really a kapara for the person. And a kapara for the person is pay the value of the person or your own value. In other words, when you own an animal, it's a machlokit in Masechet Baba Kama. When you own an animal that killed a person, so now you're liable. So you need a kapara. So you pay your value to the family of the deceased as an atonement for yourself that person who owned the animal shouldn't get a punishment. Okay? The tam doesn't pay a kofir. If you own a tam, you don't pay a kofir. You pay nezek, you pay half nezek. On the animal which is mu'ad, a forewarned animal that is already damaged a few times, you pay nezek shalem and kofir. Okay? Now, this animal which is soa niskar, here's the pasuk. V'arishor niskar, the Chaman Amar, lo yechal et besaro. The pasuk says, lo yochal et besaro. Let's read the pasuk together in Dalet.
What's the shor haniskar again?
An animal that has been now.
No,
we didn't.
No?
Actually, it's talking about he's a soa niskar. We need to kill him. We need to stone him.
So he's a muad.
He's a muad animal, and now his deen has been paskined. We have decided in Beit Din that he's alive on. We need to put him down. If you look at the pasuk Dalet, v'yigar shor or ish or et isha v'amet sakol yisakel hashor v'lo yechel besaro bal hashor naki. It could be that what we're talking about is that when the animal didn't kill. So long as the animal didn't kill, it's one payment. Here it's saying once the animal killed, so now you're going to put down that animal. It says like this. Read well the pasuk. Le met sakod yisaker asho. Stone him. V'lo yacheret b'saro. Don't eat his meat. You with me? Pasuk Gimel, God? Uba lashor naki. Let's read it again. Ki gar shoret ish, o et ish et isha, vamet. If the animal gored somebody and it died, sakod yisaker. We killed the animal by stoning him. Velo ashor, velo yacheret b'saro. Do not eat his skin, his meat. I'm sorry. Ubal ashor naki, and the owner of the shor is naki. Naki means we're going to see what it means. It's a machlokes. It either means one or two things. It means he's wiped out. He doesn't get nothing, no benefit. You clean them out. You mean you don't get nothing from this animal, asur bena, or it means you don't have to pay something. You pay we kill the animal and you don't have to pay. What does that mean? Labor Day is good for one thing. Vitanya, mimashma shenimar sakod yisaker asho. If it says stone the animal, any odea shi nevina. If you're stoning it, what do you think it is? It's not a nevina. Vasura b'achila umata minuma lo yochel. So why does it say lo yochel?
It's not a nevina.
Of course it's a nevina.
No,
You're good. Sometimes the Torah interchanges nevina and trefa. I mean, we know it's tarif. You know what I mean? We know that it's a trefa. We know that it's not allowed to be eaten. Okay? He's asking a question which we spoke about 2 days ago, that nevina we call an animal that died on its own without a shchita, and trefa is something that was killed from exterior source, and it's called the trefa. So here it says we know it's a nevina, but it means we know it's off limits from eating. That's what it means. Lo yuchal migidecha akatuv. So why does it say lo yachel? Why would it say? Isn't it self-evident? Magidecha akatuv shim shachato lachar shenigmar dino asur. So now, yes, we bring the animal of Reuben to the court. Reuben, your animal is a murderous animal. It is killed a few times. Reuben, we need to stone your animal. No problem. Reuben goes ahead, and even though it's paskin that it should be killed, he goes and he shechts it. It's not a shchit, it's not a nevena, can eat it. It's dead, but I did a shchit on it. No, lo yachel. Even if you shechted it, of course, if it was stoned, we know that it won't be allowed to be eaten. But even if you shechted it before the Beit Din could get around to stoning it, you still can't eat it. That's why it says lo yachel. En yela b'achila be'ana minayin. Now we know that you can't eat it. How do we know that you can't benefit from the animal? You can't benefit from the dead carcass. Tamun omar uban ashor naki. The barashor is naki. Perush my mashma. What does it mean barashor naki? Shimon ben Zoma omer ki adam shomer lechavero yatsa ploni naki mechasav. He was cleaned out from his possessions. He was cleaned out. He was wiped out. So it means that he has ve'eno b'hem hana'ah shel klum. So what do we see over here? So now if we read the pasuk, sakod yisaken lo yacheret besaro, and that's important. Lo yachen et besaro. It could have said lo yochad besaro. What is that et over there? 1 second. So don't eat it. Pirush. Even if you shechted it, don't eat it. Barashor naki, no hana'ah. So why do we need a pasuk to say hana'ah? Tama dichta barashor naki. Di'i melo yachal isur achina mashma. Isur hana'ah no mashma. This is a kusha on Rabbi Abahu and on Cheskia. Because even Cheskia, the lenient said, lo yachel means no hana'ah. So why would you need an extra barashor naki to teach us hana'ah? Isn't that self-understood in the word lo yachel? And the Gemara answers, both Rabbi Abahu and both Cheskia, leolam lo yachel. Isur achila. Yes. Visur hana'ah mashma. Yes, our general rule is correct. Here there would have been a mistake if we wouldn't reiterate it. And here was the mistake. Ubarashor naki. Le'anat orohu. Really has nothing to do with the meat. It means that you can't have hana'ah from the skin. You know why? De'ata v'itztarich sal kadat chamina. And it's needed because you would have thought without this extra barashor naki, lo yachel besaro ketib besaro in oro lo kamashmanan. How do you read the whole pasuk? Lo yachel et besaro. Since it says besaro, you might have thought, okay, only the flesh, the meat, but I can take the skin and I can make a Prada purse. which the Prada purse, they don't even sell on special. They never, with the old stock, they burn it. They don't want ever, because it's worth nothing. It's worth $12 and they sell it for $3,000. It is a joke. So yeah, I might make a Prada purse with I might say make some shoes with the leather. No. Bala shor naki. That's why we need to teach. So our rule stands. The Gemara says, now I told you Bala shor naki means he was wiped down. But actually, in the Gemara in Baba Kama, that pasuk, the Bala shor naki, is actually used for something else according to some opinions. What is it? Lechetzi kofen uledameh vladot. Tam does not pay kofen. You might have thought that a tam pays half a kofen. So let's say like this. If I remember well, the halachot of Baba Kama is that when the animal damages but has not killed, you pay the damage. You pay the damage a second time. You pay the damage a third time. After the third time, you pay full damages. Okay? So it changes from half payment to full payment after the third time. If the animal killed, and I think even once, it is a murderous animal, we put it down. When it is killed, you also pay a kofer. A kofer has nothing to do with the damage, it has to do also with a kapara. You might have thought that a tam will pay half a kapara. And it could be, I can't remember the halachot of a shol niskan right now. But it could be that, let's say, for whatever reason, could we put a half a kapara on a tam? Let's say it did kill in the first time, so we won't kill the animal. Could we put half a, that's true. Even if it killed once, we won't have a kofer on it. Because it's true, we might kill the animal, but it doesn't get a kofer because you couldn't have been forewarned. Mm-hmm. So would you put a half a kofer on a tam? You don't put it. How do we know? Barashon naki. Or another halakha, when a man is fighting with another man, and he hits by accident a pregnant lady, lo anenu, and the lady miscarriage, the halakha is that the person has to pay the value of the fetus inside the mother. How do you determine the value of a fetus? We said before that we have slaves. How do you sell a slave? We can sell a slave. Now the slave will be worth more with a fetus inside a lady slave because you're getting 2 for 1. It's not paying 2 full adults because you're gonna have a few years of raising the child until it becomes your slave. But if you're buying a lady with a pregnant lady, so you're gonna get now. So let's say the lady on her own is worth 100,000. And let's say 2 ladies would be worth 200,000. But you'll pay 120 for the lady that's pregnant. Because it's true you're going to have 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years of raising the kid, but then you're going to have another slave. So it's worth the investment. So how do you play the value of the fetus? You differentiate the value of the woman pregnant and not pregnant. So you can pay 20,000 on the fetus. Does a shor pay that? Barashor naki. In another place you pay the vladot. Here you don't pay the vladot. So if that's true, so now we have an issue. According to the Tanaim that use the pasuk Barashon naki for the purpose of for those drashot, so we don't have anything to teach us isur behana. We don't have any way of teaching us isur hana for the shor. I'll explain one more time. Shor haniskan. We're going to put it down. The pasuk says sakod yisaken. So it's obviously taref. You can't eat it. Lo yochad et besaro. Why don't eat his meat? Because if you shechted it, you still can't eat it. Okay, so it's asur b'ana. Why do we need ubarashon naki? Ubarashon naki meaning you can't have a hana'ah. Why do you need hana'ah? Isn't understand? No, because it says basar. You might have thought the leather. So the leather barashon naki. Yeah, but some use the barashon naki for something else. So how do you know that the leather is asur for those hana'ah for those tanaim? And the Gemara answers. Minaneu nafkenu me'ed besaro et atafel na besaro lo yachel ed besaro. Don't forget, there is something which is called a ribui. The Torah is so perfect in the way it teaches halachot, is that it writes you a chumash. You come for 30 minutes, 25 minutes from the Bar Koreh, he reads you the whole parsha, and you have the whole Torah Shebal Peh in there. If you would know how to decipher it, like the Gemara, which could take you a lifetime to decipher, and even a lifetime is not enough, you have everything inside. One of the ways the Torah does that, it's called a ribui. I have to tell you, don't eat the meat, don't eat the skin, don't eat, it's going to be endless. So lo yachat et besaro. I'm going to teach you 100 halachot with the word et, or with the gam, with all these ribuim. So the et is coming, it could have said lo yachat besaro. Why does it say lo yachat et besaro? To include a ribui of the leather, of the skin. Okay, well that's good for one opinion, but the opinion that, but the other opinion Or he learned it from Balashon Naki. What does he do with the word et? So the answer is Veidach et lo darish. There's no ribuy on et. I just told you now that et is a ribuy. Some hold et is not a ribuy. How do we know that? Kedetanya. Shimon am sa'as.
Am Shani.
Am soni. V'amrina nechami am suni. Haya doresh kol itim shebatorah. So he was saying, yes, an et is a ribuy. And I'm going to show you in the whole Torah. He's going through the whole Torah from Bereshit all the way to this pasuk, all the way to all the psukim. He's saying the word et. Et is a ribuy. Et is a ribuy. Et is a ribuy. He was showing his talmidim all the ribuyim of the word et. Once he got to the word et Hashem elokecha, et Hashem elokecha tira, pir Hashem, he said, okay, I made a mistake, piresh. No, everything I said till now is wrong. Amru lu tamidav, Rebbe, kol itin shedarashta, ma ti'enem. All the itin that you said, what about them? Amar lehem, kishem shekibalti schar al adrisha, kach ani mikabel schar al aprisha. I got reward by saying it. I'm getting reward from refraining from it, from saying I'm wrong. Do you understand what this means? At the end of every
And
day,
his lifetime.
Yeah.
Teaching something.
this is amazing. This is amazing Musa. You need to understand. At the end of the tefillah, at the end of the day, every day, there's a tefillah which you should say, and it's the tefillah in Masechet Brachot when you leave the Beit Midrash, and you say like this: Modi Hashem, Modi ani nefesh Hashem v'kecha. Shesamt chelkim yoshev Beit Midrash. Lo samt chelkim yoshev kiranot. You wake up in the morning, you come to shul, you learn Amud Yomi. Some people are not coming to on their free time to shul. At night you come back. Some people are going to the bar, and some people are taking a drink and watching some sports and some restaurant. Nebach. So thank you Hashem that you gave me my place in the Beit Midrash. V'lo samta chelkim yoshvei kiranot. Shanim mashkim ve'em mashkim. So the halakha is within 4 amot. You should know also. Within 4 amot, Chaim. It's between 4 amot for most people. A father, it's from as far as you see. Yeah. Okay. So the pasuk says. So it says, "Ani mashkim ve'em mashkim." I wake up early. They wake up early. Ani mashkim v'divrei Torah ve'em mashkim v'divrei batelim. And then it says, "Ani mikabel sachar ve'enam enam mikabelim sachar." So we get reward and they don't get reward. We wake up early to shul, and some people waking up early to business. So we get a reward, they don't get a reward. Ask your question. So the Tiferet Yisrael asked on the Mishnah, they don't get a reward? Of course they get a reward. A guy's opening a business. Daniel, you hear? A goy opens a business. He makes money. We get a reward and they get a reward. How can it say over here, we get a reward and they don't get a reward? Some guys are doing pretty good over there, some goyim. They have a lot of money, they're doing okay. Why are you saying they're not getting a reward? They work in the reward. So the answer is like this. Them, if the business fails, they worked forever, nothing to show for it. You, even if you work hard in Torah and you don't really get it, didn't really understand, you get a reward for the trying. There's no reward in trying in the Goyish world. Show me the results. What have you done for me lately? If you didn't show me results, you know that in Goyish business, you made them millions of dollars for years. Now you're not selling 1-2 semesters, you're out of here. The Torah is not like that. The Torah, even if you don't really chap it, every effort you made for Torah, you get a reward. And that's what we're seeing here from this Pshat. This Tana, for how many years probably, he was figuring out the drashot of the et. And then when he realized it's a mistake, I'm getting a reward for all what I tried. And even for telling you everything is wrong, I'm still getting a reward. It's not for loss. Nothing is for loss. Not one thought, not one desire. You wanted to wake up chatzot, you didn't? Last night I set my alarm for chatzot. I didn't hear the alarm. I don't know what happened. I usually have a good alarm, a strong one, and this one I couldn't find it. I put it on my phone. Pashu didn't hear it. I went to see it. It was on. I don't know what happened. But even the wanting, even setting the alarm, you get a reward. Setting the alarm, you get a reward. That's what he's saying here. So the other opinion says, I can't use the word et, because et has been retracted. So I need to use that ba lashon naki. But by the way, so Rabbi Shimon ben Musa Amsuni, he changed his mind. Ad sheba Rabbi Akiva v'darash. And he showed you what to do with the word et. Et Hashem Elokecha tira nirabot tamidei chachamim. To include the Talmid Chacham. You should have fear of Talmidei Chachamim. How can you say that? How can you equate? The Mishnah says, Yeh moreh rabbach ki morat shamayim. You should be fearful of your Rab as fearful of heaven. It's a very interesting statement. Shimon HaMasuni couldn't say that. He didn't want to say that. How can you equate the fear of God for the fear of... So it's really like a stepping stone. When you fear the tzaddik, so you can learn how to fear Hashem. And obviously the tzaddik can't really punish you. It's Hashem that punishes. So what fear? So it must be yirat haromimut. There's two types of fear. One fear of punishment and one fear of the greatness. I'm in awe and fearful of the greatness of God. When you would see a real tzaddik, you're actually scared of his greatness. and that is a huge level. When you like we spoke on Shabbat, when you purify yourself enough, you're going to recognize purity, and you're actually going to be in awe and fearful of that purity. We were scared of Rav Kenny, let me tell you. We're mamash petrified of him. It was petrifying to go into the room with him. It was petrifying. It was petrifying. It was scary to call him. Sometimes I had to call him, and I was so scared to call. I would be happy if he didn't answer. Like I would be. Because you know what happens when as soon as he says the hello, you know that he just scanned you, everything about you. It's actually very scary. It's actually it's very scary. Very scary.
They say about Baba Saleh, they said, how come there's people with Malay Chataim, it's people that went with other people and they was not supposed to, and they come to Baba Saleh, how could il peut pas voir la tum'a ici. Alors, the fact that they saw him and they were scared, the scaredness,
Wow, that's a beautiful shot. You know that the Gemara says in Masechet Shabbat, if you are mechabed tamidecha, if you love tamidei chachamim, you will have boys that will be tamidei chachamim.
Marry.
If you are mechabed tamidei chachamim, your daughters will marry tamidei chachamim. If you fear tamidei chachamim, you will become a tamidei chacham. So what is the most prized possession? What's the thing you love the most? Your boys.
More than your daughters, or what is it?
Yeah, your boy. You have a tremendous love for the boy. It's like an extension of you. Kavod you get from your chatan. When you have a chatan, a bozo, it's a bizayon. If you have a chatan, a good, respectful guy, you don't have kavod from there. You get kavod from there.
Sure.
He comes in, everybody likes him, he's nice, he's smart, he's telling he loves Torah, he's a great guy. Wow, you have a good son-in-law. You get kavod from your son-in-law. But so if you give kavod to Tamid Chachamim, you're going to get kavod. If you're scared of Tamid Chachamim, it's going to put on you such a fear of Hashem that you're going to start learning Torah, you're going to become Tamid Chacham. So it's a great thing. So that's what Rabbi Akiva does. So therefore, one opinion uses the et, one doesn't. If you use the et, you don't need the other pasuk. Use it for something else. Balashon Naki for the kofer and for the vladot. If you don't use the et, you need to use that pasuk for the skin that it is off limits in Hana. The Gemara continues. Vare orla. You know orla. If you plant a tree or any plantations, the first 3 years you are not allowed to eat it. And the Torah says, you cannot eat orla. It should be that you cannot also have hana, according to everybody. Correct, God?
Yeah.
Nevitanya arilim lo yachen eni eda isur achila. Minayin shelo yeh mimenu shelo yitzba bo. How do I know cannot benefit? You cannot paint with it. If you have some orla, which is like some orange orla, you want to make it into some paint. You want to use it for some red pomegranates, whatever. Lo yadlik boetaner, or you can't use it for your candles. Tamunomar orlatem orlato arilim. In the pasuk it says 3 times orla. So what? So this is coming to tell you no hana'a as well. Lo yachen lerabot kulam. Tam dichtav b'chamana orlatem orlato arilim. Hadaba achiyaba mina isur achila mashma isur no mashma. So why do you need to give me an extra pasuk? Again, another kushan chesken Rabbi Abba. If your rule is ironclad, it's a very strong rule that lo yached always means don't eat and don't benefit. Why is the Torah giving extra words for orla not to benefit? It's already understood. No lam. Actually, the more answers. Lo yachen mashma ben isur echda ben isurna. Our rule is strong, but here you would have made a mistake in the rule because of the phrasing of the Torah. B'shaniyatam dichtib lachem. What does the pasuk say? Let's read the pasuk together in Vav. Pasuk says, "V'kitavod haaretz." When you come to Eretz Yisrael, "Unitatem kol etz machan." You will plant fruits that will be for eating. Trees will be for eating. "V'arlatem orlato et pirio shalosh shanim yenachem Arenim lo yachen. Ye lachem arenim. It will be for you arenim. Since it says lachem, even if I thought I can't eat it, but I can benefit. That's why we need to have the extra limud to tell you can benefit. Sal gadatcha amin avud v'katib lachem shelachem ye kama shemanam. Okay, so now we have another question. If it says that you can't benefit because it says 3 times, so why write lachem? Take off lachem and take off the extra pasuk. Arenim lachem. You might have thought lachem means for you. No, it's not arenim. So what do you do with the lachem? If it's not coming to teach you a lot of benefit, what is it for? So the pasuk says, you cannot plant. What about if we plant not an individual? We plant for a community. So sometimes we're planting grapes over here that anybody coming to the regel can take a grape on the way. We're planting for the in the park. Public usage. Is that also asur or is that mutar? Rabbi Yehuda omer lo tzir et hanatua lerabim, and Rabbi Yehuda holds yes. Aririm lachem, and that's coming to exclude that it's done for the rabbim. Look at Rashi. Rashi says the rabim nitzor rabim kigon be'emtza dered kol over. Everybody can use it. So that is patur from orla. So if you plant something for the rabbim, it's allowed to be eaten in orla the first year. And and by the way, that is Shitat Rabbi Yehuda. Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. L'rabim. L'rabot et hanatua l'rabim. So the first pasuk says, the Tanakh is saying, it's asur even for the rabbim. Lachem, even for the rabbim. Rabbi Yehuda omer lo tzir et hanatua l'rabim. And Rabbi Yehuda says, the rabbim is mutter. Achlok Tanakama in Chachamim. The lachem is coming to do something. It's either coming to exclude and include in the mitzvah of orla, also when it's done for the public, when it's done for the community, or it's coming to exclude it. Lo tzir rabbi, says Rabbi Yehuda. My ta'amad de Tanakama. What's the reason of Tanakama? Why is Tanakama including it in the prohibition? Dichtib unetatem liyachid mashma. When the pasuk says unetatem, it sounds like we're talking about an individual. The Torah says, and you will plant. It's talking to every single guy on his own. So it sounds like an individual is not allowed to plant. Mashma nerabim liyachid. Mashma nerabim no mashma. Katav rachman anachem nabiyat anatua nerabim. So we're adding the word lachem to tell you it's also in the prohibition. So when the Torah says, and you will plant, it will be asur, and it says lachem, even if it's done for the community, it's all asur. But Rabbi Yehuda, what does he do with it? Rabbi Yehuda nitatem mashma ben nerabim ben yachid. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, the word nitatem could be community, could be individual. So if it's velachem ben yachid ben nerabim mashma, and lachem also means individual and communal. So what do you have? You have the same thing teaching twice. Interesting rule in the 13 Nidot Shatran Nidrashim again is that whenever the Torah says something, unitatem could be for anybody, and it'll be asur. Let's read it again. Unitatem koretz machal. Pirio shalosh shanim yelachem arinim. So it sounds like it's for you, individual or the community. It sounds like individual community. That's the same thing twice. Whenever we're teaching the same thing twice, it's riboy achar riboy. It's coming to bimemaet. Interesting thing. When the Torah wants to give you a broad spectrum, but to take off out of all these surim one, it's not completely mutter, not complete isur. How do you teach that in Torah? How do you, in a code, write? Yes, I have private individual. So, orla will be for the private. And will it be for the individual also? I'm sorry, will it be for the individual, will it be also for the rabbim? Well, how do we teach that it's only for individual and not for the rabbim? So we teach the same teaching twice. It's asur, it's asur. Why are you teaching me twice? I already know. Coming to exclude something in this. That's ribuy achar ribuy, it's coming to exclude. So I'm not excluding everything, I'm not making everything mutter, but I'm not also making everything asur. So the fact that I taught it to you twice is actually coming to take away somewhat the prohibition for the community. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, the Nachem is coming to teach you, since we already knew it, unitatem. So we're teaching it again to say that actually if you plant it for the rabbim, it's actually mutter to eat. Guys, it's nobody's rushing anywhere today. Let's continue a little bit. Because we're on Amud late, and if we between today and tomorrow, maybe we can catch up, even though it's somewhat long pages. The Gemara says. Another 5 minutes. Yeah? The Torah says truma, a zar cannot eat it. Who is a zar? If you're not a Kohen, you're not allowed to eat truma. V'kol zar lo ye'achen. Kadesh. It's holy. Utnan me'arivin nazir b'yayin yisrael b'truma. We learned it in Masechet Eruvin. Remember when, Baruch Hashem, you see we learned Eruvin? This is easy for us. When you're collecting the eruv for a person, everybody's giving eruv. Or, let's say, you want to travel 2,000 amot outside of your city. Remember we said you got to put in eruv tchumin? Yeah. So this is my city, this is my limit, I want to go to over here. Well, I bring food and I put it over here at the end. What are you allowed to put? You're allowed to put wine for a nazir. And you're allowed to put truma for a zar. 1 second, this is represented as my food. When I want to travel 2,000 amot outside the city, so I'm putting my food over here, it's showing that I have shvita over here. But how can I put food that I'm not allowed to eat? How can I have food that I'm not allowed to eat? Well, the answer is, the Gemara says, you know why you're allowed to do it? Shani atam demakra. Okay, I want to show you the Rashi. The Rashi says, basically, what in both cases I can do is I can take away my neder. Either way, how can I do it? Is I can take away my neder. So my neder of making this truma, I can change it. No, this is not truma. Something else is going to be truma. So I'm putting it here truma, but if I wanted, I could eat this by taking away the neder. I'm a nazir, but I could take away my neder of being nazir, so I'm not a nazir. So this wine or this truma is actually feasible for me to be, it's actually plausible that I could eat it. So therefore it is mutar. But either way, what are we seeing over here? Even though it's truma, at this point, I can still have benefit. I'm not going to eat it as truma, but I get a benefit as a neruv. So how can I have benefit on truma? And the pasuk says, on truma, kol zar lo yachen. So if it says lo yachen, I shall not be allowed to have benefit. Yes, God? The Gemara says, Shane amar papa shane atam damakra utrumatchem shelachem terumatchem. Let's read the pasuk Gimel. Gimel says, Nenechshav nachem terumatchem kadagan minagoren ukimna mina Yaakov. So here it's a whole limud over there of the Levi and the Kohen, and if you give the Levi takes his truma for it's truma maseh. But either way, when it's calling over your truma, it's called it terumatchem. You are allowed to have benefit. It's your truma, even though you're giving it to the Kohen. It's trumatchem, meaning yes, you can eat, but you can have. True, you can eat, but you can have benefit because of the word terumatchem. Shelachem tieh. Vidach terumatchem dekol Yisrael ka'amar. And the other opinion, what is the other opinion? That's what it says there?
The Gemara questions the necessity of your truma according to Chizkiah. Veidach, and the other disputant, Chizkiah explains, terumatchem dekol Yisrael ka'amar.
I don't understand the question here. What is Vidach? Cheskel, the Kamar lo tochlu, lo mashma.
Meaning all of Israelites, of all Israelites.
My problem is, it says over here, kol zar lo yachen. Yachen isn't for Cheskel. Vidach says Rashi, damar lo tochlu, lo mashma na'a. Trumatchem la mishke ana'u. I understand. Cheskel says lo yachen means no ana. So here we have a problem. How can you have hana? So we give an answer to Rumatchem. So now the Gemara is saying, but how do we do for Cheskel? It doesn't need the word. But of course for Cheskel we also need it. But if you look at Rashi, Vidach Cheskel de Kamal lo tochlu lo mashmana. It seems what's funny here is the Gemara is bringing a pasuk of Truma that says lo yachen, kol zar lo yachen. But actually, probably another pasuk says lo tochlu. What does it say over there in the notes?
In Chizkiah's opinion, the prohibition "and no layman may eat of the holy" involves only eating. Accordingly, there's no need to expound from the other verse that its benefit is permitted. For what reason then did the Torah state your
my problem is that it says, huh? You're saying my question?
Yeah.
According the next note is, according to Chizkiah, the Torah did not write your teruma for exegetical purposes. Rather, since the Torah is directly addressing the Levites in this verse, it employs the familiar second person form your teruma. The Gemara's use of the term Israelites is imprecise since the verse refers to the Levites.
Is that it?
It's look at the Rashi. The Rashi that starts with terumatchem dechol Yisrael ka'amar. It speaks about the Levi.
No, it's not that one.
No?
I need to. Can I see your thing for 1 second? Let me look here for 1 second.
Israel lav davka deha belviim k'tiv.
This I didn't prepare, right? I was just trying to get it to grab it. So what if I would be prepared? If I would have prepared this, I would have thought this question, would looked it up, and already have the answer. So now we're doing it together.
Je connais par cœur les sirotes.
Vers la fin.
Sorry. The pasuk doesn't say lo yachen. I misread the pasuk. It's very easy. Lo yuchal kodesh. It doesn't say lo yached. If it would say lo yached, it would be a problem. So there's no question. Chesed is also in the same boat. It doesn't say. It says lo yuchal. So lo yuchal means it doesn't. It's not doesn't say lo yached that would include also anah. That you would need a pasuk to say that it has mutar. Here it says lo yuchal. So the lo yuchal is for chesed. It should be mutar behanah. So what do you mean the word terumatchem? So answers Trumatchem Vidach Trumatchem Dekol Yisrael Kamar. It's not talking about the owner of the truma, that it's your truma Kinabana. Klal Yisrael Trumatchem, this is your truma. It's nothing to do, not coming to include the inyan of hana'ah for a regular guy that owns his truma. Trumatchem is a klali, is a general statement that's including all of Am Yisrael, that they have what's called truma. Am Yisrael, your truma Teru Matchem. We'll stop here. Chazak u baruch.
Chazak u baruch.